which I don't really care anyway. I'm just kidding. I say so much stuff on these recordings. If anybody ever really looked at them, they'd fire me the next day. Um, yeah, just that's just the way it is in the world. So sometimes you need to be kind of cognizant of how much you want to reveal. The other thing is you can just not talk about something, and then if the employer says, "Look, I want to know right now, is there anything in your past that you're not telling me?" Then you might want to fess up and take a chance on losing the job because the employer is really, making a big deal out of it. And the other thing is, no job's worth everything in the world, right? They're just jobs. And in this world now, there's actually a lot of jobs available. So if an employer rubs you the wrong way and he wants to know too much and you can tell he's biased against you, don't take the job, You do have that choice. So don't make yourself so upset from one job interview that it's going to ruin the next month. Okay, it's not worth it. You've got your life to live as well as getting a job. If there were very few jobs right now, I would probably say something different. And I have said something different. But now it's not that time. And so you have a little bit of flexibility. And it's really important that you fit with the work you're doing and the employer you have. Okay. We'll talk more about some other skills, but I just want to mention that because we were talking about getting jobs. Oh, the other thing about jobs is if you interview for a construction job, so this is a subset of jobs and not all of you are interested in this, they will usually start you in the construction industry, at least in the building part, the carpentry part, they typically start you as a laborer. And, in the union, a laborer is a different category than a carpenter. The pay's less and all that, but in non-labor construction companies, of which Santa Maria, there's going to be more labor companies. Santa Barbara, none. You're not going to have a labor issue here. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, don't be offended by being called a laborer, even if you say you've done a little bit of construction and you think you know something, so you're not just starting at the bottom. Don't worry about that. They call it a laborer. The entry-level position's called laborer. And what they do is they put you in that position because that's a trial position. And they're going to watch you and see if you're a good fit with a company. Then when you're a good fit and you demonstrate that you learn quickly and all that, then they'll quickly raise you up to beginning carpenter. So you'll get out of that labor status and you'll get the perks that go with the higher ones in no time, but that's how they start you. So just be aware of that. When I was starting, they didn't do that. They would call you a beginning carpenter, but it's shifted over the years. So it can be kind of discouraging. So don't let that affect you. Yeah, let's wait and talk about, I've got a list of things I want to talk to you about in terms of soft skills. So let's save that because we want to finish a little math, right? Okay. So you guys did great yesterday. Math's not everybody's forte, for sure. And I appreciate you all trying to understand all that stuff. So, shall we? So I want to do a few application problems from what we did yesterday. We'll just run through them together, and then I have a few new things that won't take very long, and that should take a good part of our time, and then we'll spend the last part of the day talking about reviewing the class, getting some individual input from you, talking about any issues you have, and getting you set up for the next week or two, because some of you may be coming back next week for some help here and there. Okay, so let me get this set up. Take me a second here. where's, no. Where is full screen here? Okay. Does everybody hear me and see the screen?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
Okay.
A little blurry though.
yeah, it's a little bit.
You know, last night in my night class, I was showing some stuff and the students all said it was blurry, but then in a matter of minutes or seconds, it focused. So let's see if it, I can, this one I can make larger, but I think it'll unblur over time also. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody can read that?
Yes.
Okay. So we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I thought visuals and a little bit more might help. So because volume is what we're dealing with. Anytime you see cubic or cube, that's a volume because it's 3 dimensions, right? A cube has 3 dimensions to it. And volume is pretty important for figuring certain materials in construction. So let's start with a cube. You know, like a little sugar cube, you know, those little sugar cubes. Do they still have sugar cubes? Anybody ever seen a sugar cube? Don't tell me they don't make those anymore.
I've seen them. We've made school projects.
Yeah,
out
they
of them.
have them like when you go to, you remember when you go to the bank and they have coffee at the bank? They have them at the
Oh,
bank.
yeah. Okay. So, you know, there's some cultures, I forget what it is. I forget which culture, takes a sugar cube and puts it in their mouth and drinks coffee through it. Anybody ever heard of that? That's pretty cool, huh? I forget what peoples do that, but I always thought that was neat. You get a lot of sugar that way, though. Okay, so anyway, say you have a sugar cube or a cube that's 1 foot on each side. So the volume of that would be 1 times 1 times 1 or 1. So a cube 1 foot on a side turns out to be 1 cubic feet in volume. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yep.
And then you can also express that foot cube in inches, 12 inches to a foot. So you could have it 12 on a side by 12 on a side by 12 on a side. And if you multiply those together, you get this horrendous big number, 1728, which we looked at yesterday. So that is how many inches, cubic inches are in a cubic foot. Okay. So then we can also look at cubic yards because these are the two units that are dealt with most in construction. So cubic yard, it's the same idea. You have a cube with 1 yard on each side. So 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. So you have 1 cubic yard in a cubic yard. But you can also look at a yard as 3 feet, right? So then it would be 3 feet times 3 feet times 3 feet, which would be 27 cubic feet. So a cubic yard has 27 cubic feet and a cubic foot has 1728 cubic inches. So then the conversion would be, say you are working and you adding up all the cubic feet. Say you have a, you know, a foundation and you can measure the length of it and the thickness of it and the width of it, and you get 3,456 cubic inches. So then you just divide by the number of cubic inches in a foot, and that'll give you how many cubic feet. And that's, this is twice as big as this. So that would be 2 cubic feet. So this is how you convert cubic inches to cubic feet. Yeah. And then if in the same way, dealing with yards, if you want to know how many cubic yards are in so many cubic feet, like say you figure your foundation and it's a certain amount of cubic feet, but you have to order it from the cement company with their truck. in cubic yards. So you divide whatever cubic feet you have by 27, because there's 27 cubic feet in a yard. And in this case, you'd get 2. So you'd call the company and say, I need 2 cubic yards delivered tomorrow at 9 o'clock. So that's that.
Can
What's
you
that?
abbreviate? Can you abbreviate that? So when you put, sorry, go back down. You put CU and then
Yes.
like the
Yeah.
two lines, like right here where it says 3, 4, 5, 6.
You could do this. I did it, but this is clear if you have cubic inch or cubic foot. But you can do inch sign and foot sign. I've seen it that way. We don't have a symbol for yard, so you have to spell out yard for sure. But I think it's clear if you use foot and inch if you spell it out. You can do cube period, CU period. That's common. So like this, cubic foot or cubic inch or cubic yard. I think that's the best way to say it. Good question though.
So don't probably, most cases don't abbreviate because it's clearer to write out the letters.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, the thing about symbols and designations, these are like general, but you know, if you go to work for a company and everybody in the company has been trained to do it a certain way, then you just do it that way. It may be any of these. So generally I say something that makes it clearer, but you know, you might have to do it another way. Okay, so I wanted to put rectilinear for some reason here, but we're talking about rectangular volume of rectangular solids. So anytime you have a rectangle, like this little end cross section is a rectangle, and then because it has length and that makes it solid, you call it a rectangular solid. So a typical one in construction is like a sidewalk, like concrete work, cement or concrete work. So you may have a long stretch of sidewalk you're replacing, say 27 feet. It may be 3 feet wide and it may be 4 inches thick. I think the requirement now is minimum 4 inches thick. And so you want to find the total volume of that. So the old method was to reduce all the dimensions to the smallest unit. So in this example, 4 inches is the smallest unit. The unit is inches. That's smaller than feet. So the old way was to change these to inches and this to inches and add all the inches together. So 3 feet would be 36 inches. 27 feet would be 27 times 12, which is 324 inches. And then 4 inches is itself, 4 inches. And then you multiply all those together. So that's a pretty big number, right? You need a calculator to do all that. And then when you multiplied all that out, you'd end up with 46,656 cubic inches. Well, nobody orders or supplies concrete by the cubic inch. So sometimes they do it by cubic feet. So a truck that comes to your yard, a cement truck, will be cubic yard. But if you go to, if you just have a little bit too little for a truck to make worthwhile to deliver, then you're going to go get a bunch of bags from Home Depot, right? So that may be in cubic feet. The bags will be marked in cubic feet, and what you need will be in cubic feet too. So you do deal with cubic feet, just not with a cement truck, which takes yards. So yards and feet are what you deal with. So say you have all these cubic inches, then remember that number 1728? That's how many cubic inches in a foot, cubic foot. So you just divide that into this number and you get 27 cubic feet. So this whole sidewalk is going to be 27 cubic feet. And if you did want to order it by a truck, how many cubic yards would that be? 27 cubic feet. Anybody? Oh, I think I hear a synapse working. Yes, firing. Yeah, the answer's on the tip of a tongue. Yes? How many cubic feet? How many cubic feet in a cubic yard?
27?
Yeah. Monica, was that you?
Yeah. Sorry, I can't deal with the awkward silence.
That's pretty sad. I mean, you're right, but it's sad that you're the only one that's answering this. So we just did this problem that said 27 cubic feet in a yard cube. 3 times 3 times 3, okay? So now our first application meets with group silence. So after changing all these to inches and then dividing by the inches in a foot, we get 27 cubic feet. So how many cubic yards is that?
Twenty-seven?
Can you say that again?
If we got 27 cubic feet for this total volume, and we want to convert that to cubic yards, how many cubic yards will that be?
Nine?
27, no?
Well, no, it's 27 cubic feet, so it can't be the same cubic yards because it's,
Oh, right.
yeah. But I think you got 27 in your mind, which is a good
A
idea.
yard's 3 feet.
So there's 27 cubic feet in a yard, cubic yard. And this is 27 cubic feet. So how many yards is this?
Oh, that's a big number.
Okay, I'll say it one more time. Just listen to this closely.
729?
Now listen to this closely. There's 27 cubic feet in 1 cubic yard, right? You guys remember that? Here's a cubic yard, 3 feet on a side. The total, multiply them all together for volume, you get 27 cubic feet in a cubic yard. This is a cubic yard. So do you remember that? I mean, can you remember that? 27 cubic feet equals 1 cubic yard. Okay, remember it all the way to here. I've got 27 cubic feet. That was what our problem came out. So how many cubic yards is that?
1.
1, yes. So, you know, somebody said 27. I said, no, that's too many. Somebody was fooling with 9, but they should have said 9. I would have said no. But yeah, it was 1. So I don't know what's getting in the way here. Maybe you can tell me, why was that confusing?
My internet's lagging, so
Yeah,
it's not showing clearly.
Yeah, well, that's a legitimate reason. I'm not looking negatively for reasons. I'm just curious where the why that was difficult.
Can Israel, can you explain how you got it? How did you divided 27 by itself? How did you get 1, Israel?
Well, because Patrick explained it on the before that one on
Yeah.
top.
Mhm.
He was saying that 27
Cubic feet.
cubic feet or equals 1 yard, and I kind of work on that on my previous job, because I have to go and get like wash plaster sand for yards or cement, and sometimes I have to go all the way to Santa Paula to get asphalt.
Uh-huh.
So that's how I kind of know that.
Oh, okay, so you've worked with that stuff. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. So so what we did here to find the volume's length times width times height. So we just multiplied all these together, but you can't multiply numbers with different units. So you have to change everything. The old way is to change everything to inches. So that's already inches. That's 27 times 12 inches. Remember, like we did here? And that's 36 inches. Then we have to multiply all those numbers together, and we got this big number. We divided by that to figure out how many cubic feet it was. Now, there's another way to do it, which I prefer, and none of the books talk about it, and it takes a little bit of imagination, and that is to reduce everything to feet instead of inches. So 27 is already feet. That's good. 3 is already in feet. 4 inches. How do we change 4 inches to a foot? Because if we can change that to a foot, then we can multiply feet by feet by feet and get a simpler answer. So here's how you do it. Whatever inches you have, 6, 5, 4, 3 for thickness, you put that over 12 because it's 4 inches out of 12 inches. 4 inches just means 4/12 of a foot. That's the jump you have to make. So let's make sure everybody sees that. So if you said, okay, I've got 4 inches, what part of 12 inches is 4 inches? And that's the fraction. So you make a fraction out of it. You put 4 over 12, and that's what part of 12 4 is. And then you can reduce that to 1/3. So 4 inches is actually 1/3 of a foot. Does everybody see that?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, this isn't the usual way of thinking about it. So that's why I'm asking. I mean, it's obviously pretty simple, but it's kind of a new way of looking at it. But if you can, and the great thing about 12, about the foot system, mostly the metric system's better, but in terms of this figuring thin concrete or dirt things that are in inches, actually the 12, the inch foot system works really well. Because 12 has so many factors. You can divide 4 into it, 6 into it, 3 into it, 2 into it, and always get a fairly small fraction. So now, if we multiply them all together, we have 1/3 of a foot, that was the 4 inches, times 3 feet, we don't change that because it's already feet, times 27 feet, same thing. And notice this, 1/3 times 3 is how much? 1/3 of 3.
Whole?
Yeah, it's a whole. You know, you're just multiplying 3 times 1, so you get 3/3, or you can just think about it. If I have a third and I have 3 of them, I'm going to have a whole. So that just goes right to 1. So then you got 1 times 27. How hard is that? So you get the same answer as this. And look at how little math you did. You didn't need a calculator to multiply all these numbers together. And when you multiply big numbers like this in a calculator, it's easy to make mistakes. And you won't know you made the mistake, and you'll get a wrong answer. But with this, it's so simple that you can see what you've done and you come up with the answer really simply. Does everybody agree that this seems simpler?
Yeah.
Yes.
So even if you had 6/12, it's a half. And so, you know, a half times 3 times 27, still easy math. But if it were, say, 5/12, say you had a 5-inch thick slab, then it's just 5/12 times 3 times 27, and that's still manageable. It's not as easy as a third or a fourth or a half, but it's still manageable. So this is the way I tell students to do it. And it's a little counterintuitive because we're usually taught to go to the smallest units and reduce everything to that. That's kind of the way we were taught in school. But then you end up with horrendous numbers that you have to use a calculator for. I like this because I don't even need a calculator for this. You can do this right in your head. Okay, one more that's similar to that. This is another application of what we've been learning. But, you know, we talked about foundations a little bit in the framing class. And a foundation usually is a upside down T. Remember that? Hey, Monica. No, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
By the time it would take me to explain it, I might as well just do it, right? Remember we talked about foundations, and then you have a plate on here, a piece of wood on top of it. And it has anchor bolt.
Yep.
It has an anchor bolt in the concrete, and you put a washer and a nut on top of there. And then you put your floor system on that. Well, this foundation, it's called an upside down T. And occasionally, and some of you said this because you do block wall, sometimes if it's block wall instead of a stem concrete wall, they'll just pour a footing and then they'll put the block wall on top of it. And they may have rebar going up, but the first thing they're just going to pour this rectangular footing. If it's a raised foundation and you're not using cinder block, then this will all be concrete and they'll often pour it all at once. So say we have a cinder block foundation that would look like this, straight on. And this is a section, and it would be 6 inches high and 12 inches wide, which is pretty typical of a 2x4 one-story building. And this is looking from above at this foundation. It's like 10 feet around. And this is a foot across, because this, if we cut a section right in this foundation, we take a knife and we cut down, and then we look at what it looks like looking this way or the other way, it will look like this, right? So this is really a fat 6x12 footing going all around like that. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're looking down at it here, and we're looking at a section like we sliced it and looking at it from the side here. Okay, so another way of thinking about rectangular rectangular solid, this would be a rectangular solid because it's got a rectangular shape and then it's just got a length to it. Just like a sidewalk, it's like that sidewalk problem, except the sidewalk is 3 feet across and 4 inches deep. So this is like a thicker sidewalk for a foundation. Okay, and why can't I go down here? Oh, I'm at the bottom. So say we want to find out the volume of this footing, to order concrete to pour it. So the first thing we're going to do is these sides, if they're thick, that means they're going to overlap, right? So you can't just figure 10 by 10 by 10 by 10, 40 feet is the perimeter, because some of that, if you pour the concrete to here, then you won't be extending this that long. So the overlap you got to deal with. So the first thing you do is redraw that foundation to show the overlap. So say we divided up the 4 sides this way. So 2 of them, top and bottom, go the full 10 feet. And then the other 2 can't go that full 10 feet because there's already concrete there. So they're going to go 1 foot, since this is 1 foot wide, they're going to go 1 foot back on this end and 1 foot back on that end, or 8 feet. So the 2 inside ones will be 8 feet. So instead of 40 feet perimeter, you'll have 10 plus 10 plus 8 and 8. Or what's that equal to? 28, 36 feet. Down here you have it. Everybody see that?
Yes.
So we'll redraw it and then we'll find that perimeter. And so we did that here. Then we have to find, so we have the length of this, length times width times thickness problem. And here's how we're going to get the width and thickness. So if we get the area of this by multiplying 6 inches by 12 inches, then that'll be the area, and we can multiply the area times the length and get how much concrete we need. And this, go down here, the area of this cross section, instead of 6 and 12, because you've got feet here. You don't want to churn all these into inches. That'll be a nightmare. But what if you just find this area and call this half a foot instead of 6 inches, and call this a full foot? So then you have area would be 1 foot times a half a foot, or 1/2 foot. So this area is 1/2 square foot. Does everybody see that? This
Yeah.
can be called a half a foot by a foot. And area is just length times width. So we go 1 foot times half a foot, and that leaves us half a foot. Because 1 times anything is just whatever it is. So we've got the area, half a square foot. We've got the length, and we added all these up. That's 36 feet. And you multiply that and you get 18 cubic feet. So that's pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
So this volume would be 18 cubic feet. And if we wanted to find out how many yards, this is the supreme question of the day. If we wanted to find out how many cubic yards is equal, what would we do? So, oh, I got to go out of there. That's why it's not working. So when we wanted to find cubic yards from cubic feet, we did what here? Everybody looking at this?
Yeah.
So what did we do to
Yeah.
find, when we had the number of feet, and then we wanted to find how many yards. So what did we do here? We divided by
27.
27. That's what you do. When you have a number of feet, cubic feet, and you want to find out how many yards, you divide by 27, because there are 27 cubic feet in a cubic yard. So going back down here, what do we do to find out the number of cubic yards? Repeat after me. We divide by,
27.
By 27.
thank you. So go back to annotate, put a fraction sign, put 27. So we divide the 18 by 27. Who knows what that is?
Uh,
You can do it with your calculator, but anybody do it freehand?
I see.
0.6.
Divide both of these by 9, and what do you
I
get?
see. 5,
2/3?
3,
Yeah, 2/3.
3,
2/3 what?
Cubic
Cubic feet.
yards?
Cubic
Oh, yards.
yard.
Cubic yards.
Yeah, 2/3 cubic yard. So it's not even a whole yard, because this is a small, very small area, perimeter area. So that's the same thing. See how easy it is when you use, instead of using inches and making that 120 inches and that 96 inches and adding all it together, and then you got to divide by that 1728 again. If you just make that section a half, instead of 6 by 12, a half by 1, then you get a simple fraction for a square foot, and then you multiply that by 36, and you get this really easy answer. So it's 18. So if this is borderline whether you would use a truck that delivered yards. In fact, probably a truck has a minimum delivery of 1 yard or 2 yards. And so they will deliver this, but they'll charge you an extra fee because you're wasting their time for very little concrete, and they don't get their money's worth. You know, they could be taking a truck and delivering 10 yards somewhere. So they charge you a below minimum fee on top of it, which is okay if you don't have the equipment or the time to make it yourself with bags of cement. You'll go ahead and do that and just take the hit. But otherwise, that's still going to be a lot of bags of cement to mix. So if you happen to own one of those electric mixers, or you could borrow one from a friend, you had a couple of people that could throw the bags around, then it might be worth your while doing it by hand. Okay, so this was just a couple of applications of what we've been talking about the last few days. So it's a brief lesson, so I don't expect people to master this in this little time, but it just gives you an idea. Some of you probably this was easier for than others. My internet connection is unstable. You know what I say to that? But I can't say it out loud. Okay. Gee, wasn't that fun? Come on, admit it.
Yeah.
Yes, lots of fun.
Half the time, everything was blurry, so it was frustrating.
All right. So, what time is it? Oh, we're still early. Let's do a little bit more.
Patrick,
Yes, sir.
I have a question. Why some companies use yards when you buy like sand or cement or asphalt, and why some companies use tons?
Feet, cubic feet.
No, tons.
Oh, tons. Oh, okay. Well, that's a good question. I don't think I have an answer for that. Francisco, do you know? I think
What was the question?
why some companies use tons and some use cubic yards or cubic feet. I think cement trucks always order by the yard if it's concrete. Now, I don't know about has anybody ordered or delivered dirt or fill?
I order cement
Yeah,
by this big company,
yeah,
and the way I did it, it was I just I gave them the dimensions of the hole I'm
yeah,
filling it up,
yeah,
and they will say, oh, you need like 3-4 yards or 1 or 2,
yeah.
like the dimensions.
But did they ever use tons?
Yeah, some of them use tons
So
because
cubic yards or cubic feet? What kind of dimension what kind of unit is that? Is that a weight or a volume?
I think that's weight because on I went to these 2 companies on Sao Paulo. One of them is Volcane, and
Yeah,
the other is Granite. And I think on Granite they use tons.
yeah,
The Volcane they use yards. So
yeah. Interesting. Well,
I mean I
Well,
think it's the
tons is a
same.
weight measurement,
yeah,
2,000 pounds,
yeah. So
and a
tons,
yard is a volume.
right. So, you know, companies figure this stuff out. Those companies like Granite and Lac that do that stuff. But that's what I was trying to get at. What Francisco just said. Tons of weight, and different materials weigh different things. So even though they're the same volume, they may have a different weight. So, for instance, you could get a sand that's very fine, and it doesn't have a lot of air in it, and it would weigh more than cruder sand. Or same thing with what do you call it?
Well, concrete, like the concrete bags,
Well,
the heaviest ship is
concrete,
50
yeah.
pounds.
Yeah, concrete will have different pounds per square inch. I was thinking of the rock. What do you call it?
And
Gravel. Gravel comes in different sizes, and the
well,
same volume will be
granite
different weights.
is a lot denser.
Right, right. So, so that would make a difference, but those companies it just may be shorthand, like, maybe everything's a ton. It doesn't matter to them that there's a slight weight difference or volume difference rather. because, you know, it's, if the way they figure it is just simpler and more efficient to go by tons, then they wouldn't care about the exact volume. They just go by tons. That's the only thing I can think of. It's a good question, though, especially because you work for two different companies that did it both ways. Yeah. So if I have any time, maybe I'll give Granite a call and ask him why they do that. Which one was the one that did it by tons, Gerardo? Which company?
That was Israel.
Oh, Israel.
The one that did it by tons, it was Granite.
Okay. If I have time, I'll give Granite a call and see why they do that.
Yeah, and Vulcan, they do it by yard.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Thanks for bringing that up. That's a good point. Okay. So let's go back. Okay, everybody see this plane figures?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I can make this
And-
bigger. So look at number 6. Find the area of a circle with the 3-foot radius. So does somebody want to walk us through that? So I'll give you since you guys don't have access to this is on your worksheets in Canvas, but some of you said you couldn't, do those together. So let me just give you the formula for each one. So this would be area of a circle is pi r squared, right? Hey, Monica,
Hey,
I have to make sure Monica's earning her money here. When
Okay.
you write with this pencil,
yeah.
is it hard for you?
Yeah, I don't ever do the pencil. I always do the typing because it's really difficult to write.
Okay.
If you have an iPad like with the touch screen, it's really easy. But if you're working on a laptop, it's not easy. Do you have a touch screen?
I have a touch screen. I never thought about that.
That might be easier.
How weird is that, huh?
Welcome to
God,
2020.
you're such a source of information, Monica.
I know. I always feel like I should be like a teacher trainer, like for
Yeah.
older teachers and they're like
Yeah.
60 and above.
But hey, you know what? They have a name for that attitude, Monica. You know that.
It's
don't
called
you?
ageism.
It's called
Ageism, right?
ageism.
This college does not discriminate. This is a non-discriminatory, no ageist allowed.
That's right.
I'm trying to help.
Yeah, well, I'm more real than any of that, so you can tell that to me anytime. So, but I learned a couple of things already today. I'm thrilled. So that's the formula for area of a circle. Sometimes I put a C. Sometimes they put a subscript to tell you what it is. I'll put area of circle, and then if I do a rectangle, I'll put area of R. So number 6, let's just use 3 as pi, or pi is with the value of 3 for ease of computation. I think, with this pencil, when you write with a pencil and you're right-handed, it feels like it's a left-handed pencil. Monica, have you ever tried to write with your left hand? Are you right-handed?
Yeah, I'm right-handed, but my daughter's left-handed, so I always I try to live in her shoes, so I try to write with my left hand sometimes. So she
Yeah,
can
it's a
see
kick,
how
isn't it? Yeah, it's a real kick. Okay. I'm still waiting for a volunteer.
Be 27.
Oh, you got the answer already? All right, I don't know what it is. Let's see.
Explain
So-
how you got it, Jasmine.
So 3 squared would be 9. And then you multiply by 3, and then that's 27.
Yeah, by golly. Okay, thank you. So,
And
and
if
that was feet.
Yeah.
So it was 3 feet. So 27 what?
Feet.
No, it's an area, right?
Oh, square.
Square feet. Yeah, good. Okay. Okay, great. Way to go. Okay, see, that wasn't hard. I bet a lot of you know how to do it, but you just, are too lazy or too shy to volunteer.
Okay, so if it's the area, we say square feet or square inches, and if it's
Yes.
the volume, we say cubic feet
Yes.
or cubic inches or cubic
Yes.
yards.
Right. And if it's just a single length, like it's not an area, it's just a distance,
Uh-huh.
you could say just feet, or sometimes if you want to really distinguish it, we use that word, which I did write on my whiteboard, but I don't need to show you the whiteboard because that'll disturb everything. Linear. We can say linear feet for just a regular foot measurement. Okay. So let's see. Pythagorean theorem seemed like it was hard for everybody, so let's not do that. I have them circled here. Oh yeah. 27. Are we there? Oh yeah. A contractor is going to install carpet in a bedroom that is 12 feet by 12 feet. How many square yards of carpet are needed? Who wants to work through that one?
$4.
Okay, let's do the problem. How'd you do it?
Multiply 12 by 12 and then divided by the 36.
Divide by 36. So, because there's 36 inches in a yard. That's right.
Yeah.
That's why. Okay. So 12
right.
feet by 12 feet is what? 144 feet?
Yes.
Sometimes even if you don't know all your times tables, there's certain ones that are really handy, like 12 times 12. It just comes in building, it comes in. So that's square feet, right?
Yep.
And then multiply it by 36. But there's 36 inches in a foot.
In a yard.
I mean, in a yard. But what we want to find out is square yards.
Square yards. Okay.
So we're dealing with feet. So who's solving that? Gerardo?
Yes.
Okay. So if we want to put it in yards, so we want to find out how many square feet are in a square yard. So there's 3 feet in a yard, right?
Yes.
But how about a square yard? How many feet would be in that?
Would be
27 cubic feet.
10.
No, but we're dealing with square.
Oh, square. Oh, sorry.
Only 4.
No, here's a yard, square yard right here. It's got 3 on one side and 3 on the other. So its area is 3 by 3, right?
Then 144 divided by 9.
Yeah, that's what I think. Anybody see it differently? Does 9 go in 144 evenly? Oh, it does. Yeah, that's probably usually you can tell the answer to these kind of sheets, but don't use this all the time. Is that they want them to come out. They're just worried about the process of the problem. They don't want a complicated answer. So usually the answers will be even. It didn't look on the surface of it, but 9 and the 54 is what? 15, 16. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's 16 square yards.
16 square yards.
Yeah. So here's something. When you're doing these problems, it's easy to get confused by the square or cubic, or yard, inches, foot. Granted, that's confusing. So there's a way of double checking your answer. I forget what they call that. Do you remember, Monica? When you're looking, when you can figure a ballpark answer to know if you're in the right, if you're even in the ballpark. Everybody know that expression? Carla, did they say that in Peru?
Guesstimating.
In the ballpark? So if you've got a number of feet, square feet, and you want to convert it to yards, well, a yard's bigger than a square foot. So you're going to have less square yards than you're going to have square feet, right? So that tells you right away, if you get an answer that's bigger than 144, that you've done it wrong, because the answer needs to be less, because a yard's bigger than feet. So if you have a certain number of square feet and you convert that to square yards, that number of square yards will be less than the number of square feet. This is exactly how much less, but if you know it's less, then you can rule out all the answers that are bigger than 144, which helps. Sometimes you make a mistake and you can spot it that way. So I forget what they call it, checking your answers like that. Monica, is there a name for that?
I think there is, but I can't remember either. Like double check your work.
Yeah, it's like double checking or something. Yeah. I call it ballparking because you don't need to get, you've already got the exact answer. It may or may not be right. So you just want to know if it's in the right area. So that's why we say in the ballpark. I don't know if that expression is used in Mexico or Peru, but probably because they all have ballparks. Okay. So that's good. We learn these things, areas and volumes yesterday, briefly. Granted, this is just a brief touchdown. And so now we can apply them. So it's good that you guys are seeing that. This one here at the bottom, 29. So this contractor needs to buy tile to cover this whole floor. They're not asking you for how many tile. They're just saying they want you to calculate the area. So does anybody know how we would go about calculating this area?
Just try to get the perimeter and then the area.
Okay, but how do we get an area of the L-shaped figure? What do we have to do that?
Just add all the sides first.
Yeah, we have to find out what these sides are, right?
Right.
Okay, that's good. So this is 15 and this is 30. So this will be 15 too, right?
Yep.
Or 15 also. And then what about this side here? If this is 40 and this is 15, 40 minus 15 is 25?
25, yeah.
Okay. Now we may not have needed to do that. Let's see. So how are you going to find, what are you going to multiply to find area here? Because it's not a square or a rectangle, it's a L-shaped piece.
Let's make an imaginary square.
Make
Let's
a couple
run
of, yeah, so we can take the line, we could probably go either way, right?
yeah,
We need two rectangles, so we could draw it. In this case, I think either one would work. Which way do you want to do it? Down or sideways?
sideways.
Okay. So we make a square and or looks like a square, a rectangle and a rectangle, and then we confine so this one we know is 15 times 40. You know, Monica,
Yeah,
so when I try to use a pencil on my touchscreen, it doesn't work.
really?
Yeah, so I learned something that the heat of your hand probably triggers the screen, which is too bad because you can draw a lot better. Your finger's a pretty crude instrument, right?
Yeah, it's more accurate.
I think I'm better with the pencil, as awkward as it is. So 15 times 40 would be something. And then what's the other square? That would be
600.
15 times 15, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that one. Isn't that a classy 15? Yeah, so this is this is going to be let's see, 600, and this is going to be 225. So it's going to be, just add those together. So we don't need to do the math. You already know how to do that. I just wanted to make sure you remembered how to break these down. So you could have had
725.
725, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did
625.
825?
Yeah, this is 600.
So it's 825, not 720.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, 825. Yeah, 225. Ah, good. We got. So if you knew the answer was 825, who said that?
Jasmine.
Yes.
So Jasmine, you should have come up with the answer originally. Okay. All right, let's see what else we got here. Isn't this fun? Oh, here, we got to erase this. I tell you, life is so complex, isn't it? You know what's funny is this is on the screen, not on the paper, which is counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
Of course, if you knew anything about computers, you would have known that automatically, but us old retards, we don't get that so easy. Okay. Let's see. Next. Oh yeah, this one, no wait, where are we? This one here's kind of fun. This guy's this is a porch, looking down at a porch, and he wants to put or he or she wants to put a little extra on the deck, a little triangle. And so all we know is it's a 45. That's all they give us, the degree here. We have to figure out the rest. So who wants to help me work through this one? So calculate the area needed for the addition. So we need the area of this triangle. So we need, what's the area of a triangle? Anybody?
Base times height times 0.5.
Yes. Or another way of saying it is 1/2 BH. Yeah. Okay. Either way is good. So if we stand that triangle up, we could use this as the base, and that would be 6 feet, right?
Yes.
The angles are 45, 45, and 90.
Yeah, now you're getting it good. So just the 45, then that means this angle must be 45 too, right, Francisco?
Yeah, it's an isosceles triangle, right?
An isosceles triangle, which means these sides are the same also, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So that means this side will be 6 feet. This dotted side will be 6 feet also, right?
Yep.
So there we have it. Base times height is 6 times 6, and half of that is
36.
8. Yeah, 36, and then half would be 18, right?
Yes.
18 what?
Feet?
No, it's an area.
Oh. Oh,
Square
Square feet.
square feet.
Yeah, 18 square feet. So we got it. That wasn't too hard. So a lot of problems are filling in information when they just give you a little bit, or if you're on the job, you can only ascertain a little bit of information. Then you've got to interpolate from what you know, these kind of relationships, geometrical relationships, to get the other information. And then you have formulas for finding area. So that was good. You guys did good on that one.
Yeah.
Let's see this one down here. Calculate the area of the room illustrated in the plane view. So this is similar, except they don't give you the line. So you've got to make the line, right? So isn't that what we do right off? Put this line down here. Ah, what a line. I love it. Only 2 zigs. That's pretty good. So, so now we got to fill in dimensions, right? So we're going to find the area of this. So we need the area of this rectangle and the area of the triangle, right?
Yeah.
So area of the rectangle is easy. 10 times 20. That's 200. So that part, so far, so good. So how do we find the area of this triangle? We need the base and the height, right?
Yeah. 5 times 5.
So
No,
this, so what, well, okay, so what's this one right here? This
10.
side, 10,
10.
because it's the same as there. Yeah, good. And then what's this side here?
10.
Yeah, because we had 30 and we subtracted 20.
Yeah.
It doesn't even look like a isosceles triangle to me, maybe the way I'm looking. But you got to be aware that drawings are not always accurate, and they're supposed to say not drawn to scale. And then you know that it may not look like a triangle with 2 sides the same, but it is because you did the math. So make sure you're not fooled by the drawing. Sometimes the drawing won't be totally accurate. So then we have 1/2 times 10 times 10, right?
50.
Right? Excuse me. What'd you say, 50?
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
And
50.
350 is the area.
Yeah. All right, here we go. That's pretty easy. The trick with these, obviously the math's not a trick, doing the arithmetic. The trick is filling in figuring out how you're going to divide the figure and then filling in the unknowns.
Yeah.
Now, the next question is, using this figure, calculate the angled wall, the length of this. So this we would do as a Pythagorean theorem, which we did yesterday, and I won't dwell on that, but all you do is square this side. So that's 100, 10 times 10. Square this side, that's another 100. So it's 200. So this will be the square root of 200. And there's no way to do that except with a calculator. And you have to have a calculator with a square root function. So if I do 200, I get 14.14 for that. So here's another thing. If my calculator got the decimal wrong and it said 141.4, I could say, well, this is 10 and this is 10. This isn't going to be 141. That's way too long. It's gonna be more like 14, so I probably got the decimal in the wrong place. So that's how you can kind of double check yourself, make sure you're in the ballpark this way. Yeah? Who just came in?
Sam,
Okay.
Sam,
So is this getting easier as we do more examples?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We'll just do a few more. Let's see. Oh, gotta get rid of this. Okay. This first one, a storage room measures 46 by 22 by 10 feet. How many cubic yards does the storage room contain? So just tell me how you would do it. We don't need to actually do it. Anybody? Is anybody there?
Yeah.
Oh, good. One person's there. Did the rest
Yeah.
all take Kool-Aid and shine it on?
No, we're trying, I'm at least trying
And so
to
why does it
reread
say,
it and
like-
figure it out. It's
why
not
does it
easy.
say 0 each one? I think it's this is a confusing word problem because it says 46 feet 0 inches, 22 feet 0 inches, 10 feet 0 inches. I feel like that's unnecessary. Where it says 0. Do we need that?
It's superfluous.
I love you guys. Yes, we do need
That's
it.
super unnecessary. We need it.
Yeah. Okay, so let me just say we looked at blueprints just a little tiny bit in this class, right? But in a blueprint, all the dimensions are given with feet and inches, and if there's no inches, they put 0 because it's confusing. They'll say, well, is it just 46? So the convention is to always use the inches, even if there's 0. Okay. So yeah, for us, we could get rid of those when we do the math, but it's okay that they're there and setting up the problem. So okay, I'm sorry. So okay, great point. So let's and Francisco, if you can, if I say where is everybody or whatever, you can say we're thinking about I'm thinking about the problem. That's okay, and then I know what you're doing. Otherwise, I don't know if people, you know, passed out from their carbon monoxide heater in their bedroom or what. Okay, so we would multiply 46 by 22 by 10, right? Just with our calculator. And we
Yes.
get what kind of answer, what kind of units would that answer be? Would it be inches, square inches, feet, square
Cubic.
feet,
With cubic
Cubic
feet.
yards?
cubic feet? Great. So, you know, that's another thing you might do in working through word problems is figure out what kind of units the answer has to be and just write that down on the side of the problem. Just so when you get an answer, you can go back and say, oh gosh, I did it in square feet or I did it in the wrong thing. And you'll have that there to remind you. So, you know, these are just tricks in case you get mixed up on units. So yeah, so you'd say, well, it's feet times feet times feet, cubic feet. Okay. So then we have cubic feet, 1,000 cubic feet or whatever the heck that turns out to be. And then but they're asking for yards. So how do we do that? Remember? How many cubic feet in a cubic yard?
27.
27.
27, good. So then we just divide 27 into that total number of cubic feet, and that's our answer. And they say round to the next higher full cubic yard. So whatever that means. That's just rounding off. If it's more than half, you round off to the next whole. Yeah, okay, so that's pretty good.
What
Okay,
does everybody get?
Oh, did people do it? I didn't care if you did it, but did anybody do it?
I don't know if it's right, but is it 293?
I don't know.
I
Monica?
got 375. That's why I asked, because I wanted to know if I was right too. I got 375.
All right, let's do it. 46 times 22 times 10. So, and then divided by 27. 374.8,
Yes, that's right. Sorry.
375. So, you know,
Okay,
on a
yeah, that's what I got you.
so, you know, on a calculator, you can do you can do a number, press multiplication, the next number, press multiplication. You can do all three numbers together without getting a solution, and then divide all in a row without going to the equal. Do you all know that? So for this
Yeah.
one, I could punch in 46, punch in the multiplication sign, punch in 22, punch in the multiplication sign, put in 10, hit the multiplication sign, and then what did I do? Divide by 27? No. I screwed it up myself. 46 times 22 times 10. Oh yeah. Then you don't do the multiplication after that. So you multiply the three together and then you divide by 27. All in one motion. Okay. So that's good. And how about this pipeline one? This is one involves a circle. So a section of pipeline pipe has an inside diameter of 3 feet. Wow, that's a big pipe, huh? The pipe is 39.5 feet long. What is the capacity? What is the volume or capacity of the pipe in cubic feet? So how do we set that up? Anybody?
We have to find the volume for a pipe.
Right. We're doing a volume for a cylinder, a pipe. Yeah. So the cylinder volume is the area of the section, cross section, which would be a circle, right? Times the length. Is that right?
Yes.
So the area of a circle,
Pi radio cubic.
pi r squared. Yeah. So we have 36 as diameter and we want the radius. So what's the radius of a 36-inch diameter?
The half of the diameter.
Yeah, half. So it'd be 18. Now let's see. So there's a couple ways you can do this. You can substitute 18 for the radius and then multiply it by itself. So you have 18 times 18 times, let's say 3 for pi here, times 3. And that would give you inches. That would give you square inches. And then you've got a linear foot here. So you've got you could convert this to inches and multiply it, or you could convert this answer to feet. So one way you could just do this one that's simple would be instead of 18 inches, you could put 1.5 feet, because 18 inches is 1 foot 6. So you'd have 1.5 squared times pi. So I don't know if that's easier, but at least your answer would be in square feet, and then you multiply by linear feet. Do we want to do it? Anybody up for the challenge? Let's do it with the inches. Let's do it with the inches. So somebody multiply that out. What do you get?
108.
18 by 18 by 3. 108? 108? That can't be right.
Divided by 3, yeah, it's 108.
No, I get 18 by 18 is 324 times 3.
It's set not 972.
Yeah, 972. Does everybody get, anybody else get that besides whoever?
Yeah, 972.
Okay. And that's what? That was inches, so this is square,
8
yeah, square inches.
inches.
And then now we have to multiply it by a length, 39.6. But we have to change that into inches or change this into feet. So how do we change this into feet? How many inches per foot?
12.
12,
How many square inches per square foot?
12 by 12.
That's 81.
144.
No. That'd be dangerous if I could draw.
144.
Yeah, right? 12 times 12. So we could divide this by 144. And what would that be? Anybody? You still got 972 on your calculator?
6.3.
I get 6.75.
Yeah.
Is that, what do people get?
I got 6.3.
6.75.
How can we have different answers?
27 quarters, 27 by.
Yeah, I got 6.75.
Okay, so whoever got the other, divide this again and see that you don't get this. I think this is right. So then we have to multiply this times 39.5, right? So this is a decimal, and we have to change this to a decimal. So 6 inches is half a foot, so 39.
It's 266.625.
So 6, almost 7 times 4
7.
is 280. What, it's about 3, it's 300 or between 290 and 300. What'd you get?
267. You round up.
Yeah.
Okay. So one way you can check that is by the ballpark thing we were saying. So this is almost 40, 39.5, and this is almost 7. So 7 times 40 is 280, and we rounded up for both of these. So that's about right. 267 is in the ballpark. So yeah, so that's our 266 rounded up, 266 something rounded up. So that's our answer. Yeah. Good. So checking your answer is good. Like if you're on an SAT test or any kind of really important test that's going to get you admission to something, and you can't afford to lose a math problem, and you have time to double check. Sometimes those tests are so strapped for time you won't. But then just check the ballpark. Say, well, okay, or 6 times 40 is 240. Okay, so it's a little bit above that. Yeah, okay. And then you know that your answer is probably right.
I got different answer because I multiply by pi, not by 3. So because
This here?
pi,
Oh,
pi
because
is
of the way it
not
looked?
3.
Yeah.
Pi is not 3. Pi is 3.7 something.
Okay. Because you thought this was a 5?
No,
So he's saying he multiplied by pi 3.14 rather than by 3,
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
because pi equals
Got you.
3.14.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I maybe didn't say it, but I was going to use 3 for this. Oh yeah, here it is. So 3. Okay. So that's, the math is fairly straightforward. I mean, you need a calculator to do it, but getting the units right. So what units are these?
That is 279.2.
Okay, that, I'm gonna start over. So
Cubic
this
feet.
is a volume, right? So it's got to be cubic something.
Cubic feet.
And we did, if we divided by 144, that was to get feet. Yeah, cubic feet. Is that what it asked for? Yeah. And it asked for cubic feet. That's cubic feet, believe it or not. And then we wrote cubic feet here at the beginning to make sure, right? That we had cubic feet. And then we go, oh yeah, okay, good, we're there. Sometimes when you first read the problem, you can underline, underline things that are important so you know that your answer's in the right units. Okay, let's take a break, huh? Unless you guys want to work till like 2 or 3 today.
No.
Yeah? No? So you can see that we're getting better as we do more of these problems. So if this was a math class that had a decent amount of time in it, like a regular semester class, we could spend maybe a couple of sessions, 2 or 3 sessions on this and do a lot more word problems, and the more you do it, it starts getting really, really easier. But we don't have that luxury. So we've got a range. Probably most of you were getting it. Some of you were maybe already knew all that stuff. And some of you are still struggling. That's okay. But let's take a break till you know 10:50. What's that? 12
Mhm.
minutes. 10:55. You guys maybe.
Need 15 minutes.
Yeah, let's go
Okay.
till 11. Huh?
So we need 15
Okay.
minutes.
You need to get those neurons firing back again. So get some food and take a little break. And so at 11 we'll come back.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay,
thanks.
sounds good. Gerardo. How's the weather out there this morning?
Very nice.
It's good. Is it getting
Yeah.
warm?
It's getting warm, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a little foggy, a little bit of it, but the sun is breaking right now and it's getting warmer.
Uh-huh. Oh,
Really
good.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I know we've had some days that have been pretty hot actually already.
Yeah, they had been hotter.
Wonder if it's probably gonna be a hot summer, huh?
Yeah, we'll have a hot summer. Time to go to the beach.
Stay cool.
Yeah.
Ah. Now we got a couple more minutes for break. Monica, are you there yet?
Yeah, I'm here.
So Rodney's leaving town, I think Friday,
Yeah, I was
isn't
gonna tell you, I don't think we can meet because he's leaving, I think tomorrow, he said like right after class or early Friday, and then he's going to Florida and going all kinds of places. So I don't know if we can meet.
he? Trying to see where I wrote down my calendar. I've got so many calendars. Life has become so complex all of a sudden.
Are you
So
gonna do
he's
anything for?
he's leaving right after his Thursday class, tomorrow's class.
I think so. I think he said he's going to Florida and then he's going to Palm Springs.
Yeah. I
Like,
know.
okay. He said he has to make up for like all the golf he's missed the past year in the next week.
Yeah. Do you play golf?
Oh, no.
Yeah, me
No.
neither. Yeah, he's always zipping off somewhere to play golf. He's a really avid player. It's
Are
great
you
to
gonna
have
do anything next week? Are you off next week, Patrick?
Well, I am off officially, but I have to prepare for a class summer 1, which is the week after. And it
Yeah.
involves have you been to the construction academy at Wake Center, that back area?
No, I've seen it, but not from up close.
Yeah.
I never go back there. Like I've seen it from far away. Like
Yeah.
I never walk back there.
Yeah. Well, there's a patio between the two classrooms, and the shop's in one classroom, and then we have a dedicated regular classroom. And that area in between's a covered patio. So
Yeah, I see it.
so I do stuff at night during the year because it's the only time I can do it. So we have to set up some mock walls, maybe 20 feet long and 15 feet wide. And then we're going to build roofs on those. So I have to at least get that set up. I was gonna go
So it's gonna
Saturday.
be,
I was gonna go
is it
Saturday
gonna
and
be
use,
all,
yeah, yeah.
go ahead.
I was gonna go Saturday and use Rodney's students for his Saturday class, but he's not having a class Saturday, so that's out. Oh, boy.
Wait, so is it gonna be all in person for summer, for your summer class? Is that
Yeah.
in person?
Yeah. They,
Cool.
we got a 1 lab out of 3, and then I was talking to my department chair and I said, I'd like to do all 3. And he said, well, just tell the class, don't change the schedule, but just tell the class you want to do it live.
Yeah.
So I'll do the first one Zoom, and then the rest I'll start. Because this, I could get along with 1 lab minimum, but it's much better if we can do all 3.
Yeah.
If I have stuff I can write on the board, we can spend 10 minutes when we get there in the class and then go right out and start building. So
You have to wear a mask in your class?
well, I haven't had one yet, but yeah, I think I'll require mask wearing because I've been vaccinated twice, but the younger class may not be vaccinated. So we should wear a mask so they don't get infected.
How many students should be allowed in class?
Well, yeah, they're trying to keep them small, but between 15 and 20, hopefully more like 15.
I think that's one of the problems they're noticing, like going back into person, because online, like on Zoom, my class is 35 students and they're saying, okay, when we go back to in class, there's no way you can fit 35 students into a classroom 3 or 4 feet apart. So
Yeah.
they're like, well, what are we going to do?
Yeah,
So,
I know.
Excuse me, are you talking about credit classes or non-credit?
Yeah, credit class.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because the summer session starts for credit a week, not next. Yeah, not next week,
17th.
but the week after. Yeah.
But it's gonna be at the college campus or Wake Center?
Yeah, it'll be at the Wake Center.
Wake Center. Cool.
So, I didn't mention that to you guys because a lot of you guys are not in construction, but even the ones in construction haven't asked me about our program. So maybe I'll just take a minute and talk about it.
Go over the schedule, because even if some people find jobs, they might be able to join the evening class.
Yeah.
In the summer.
Right. So this first summer class is on roof framing, how to frame a roof.
Roof framing. Cool.
Yeah. So, it's not a beginning class, but I think anybody can, if they, pay attention, can do okay in it. So if you're, we have a program that has a certificate at the end. And I think there's like 10 classes that you take, construction classes, and then you get this certificate, which is a worthwhile thing because employers, general contractors like to see, they'll look at that as a form of commitment to the trade.
Cool.
And so they like that. But you have to, it's credit, so you have to be able to afford it. It's not real expensive, but it does have a cost. And it does come at night. All the classes are from 6 o'clock to 8:30 at night. Occasionally there's a Saturday class. So, there's that commitment too. But this summer, and they're at the Wake Center, Turnpike and 101. And it's in Santa Barbara, but right on the edge, Nolita. So the summer school it's more concentrated because there's less time. There's 2 sessions. So the first class is roof framing, and I teach that, and it goes for 6 weeks, 3 classes a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So, and if some of you are in Santa Maria or North County or Carpinteria and you can't make it to the Wake Center, I'm going to do a video because I have a couple students in my night class that are almost finished with the program, but they've moved to Sacramento. And I don't think it's fair that they won't be able to do it. So I'm going to let them watch the video and, do it virtually. So if some of you are really interested, and that's the only way you can do it because you don't live in South County and you can't get here, we can talk about that. If you're interested, just we'll talk, and maybe I can get you into that one. And then the second summer class, 6 weeks later, is cabinet making, and that class Rodney teaches. It's called Intermediate Finished Carpentry, but the content's all about making cabinets. He had a cabinet business, which I'm sure he's told you all about it. He had a cabinet business for years. So he's really knows all about that. And then
Mr.
we have,
Patrick,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt you. You guys
Sure.
mentioned about the blueprint classes. Are you guys offering those too, or is that somewhere in the near future?
well, we just offered that. So the next one will be either next summer or the fall after that. Yeah. It's a ways away,
Okay.
but if you're still around, you want to take it, it'd be great.
I was looking into taking that class. I just couldn't find it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's not, like I said, we're, because of the pandemic and because of the school budget, we've had to cut down on how many classes we can offer each semester. Because they want to make sure those classes are full to bring in as much money as possible. And if we have too many classes, it takes away from the enrollment in each one. So they've restricted our number of classes. So normally we'd offer blueprint reading once a year, which would make it next spring, but we can't because we have to fill in with the classes we've missed. So if you can hang in there a little bit,
So is it offered like once a year?
No, it's offered right now, which is what,
Let's-
spring? So it should be offered next spring, but it won't be because we've got to catch up on the others. So it'll be summer if someone's here to teach it, or fall. Yeah, great question. Yeah, I'm sorry that happened. It's just the kind of the circumstances we're in right now. And the school budget usually goes up and down. So eventually we'll come out of this slump, but we're not out of it yet. So that's how it is. But yeah, so if some of you are, especially some of you who have done a little bit of building, want to take that roof framing or the cabinet making in summer too, go ahead and sign up. We'd love to have you. It's open to everybody. And my classes, nobody ever fails. I mean, I get people that are new and they've never done any building. So they obviously don't learn as much as the ones that have some experience, but they still learn enough, and they do, I make sure everybody passes a test. So don't worry about grades in any of the classes. That's if you come most of the time. If you come half the time, then you need to worry about your grade, because it's hard to grade people that don't show up. So, and if you have more questions, like maybe you think of one tomorrow, you can ask Rodney. And if you think of one Friday, where you no longer have access to Rodney and me, you can use my email, thefoster@sbcc.edu, and email me anytime questions about the program or classes coming up, okay? And you can email Monica anytime and just ask how she's doing. Yeah, maybe she.
Just send me a message anytime in the middle of the night. You could just WhatsApp me like at 2 a.m. if you have any questions about anything. Sometimes I have students do that because I have students that are like in different places, like in Honduras or like in Mexico. And I'm like, why do I have a message from like 2 a.m. or something?
Oh, yeah.
A question about the homework. Okay.
The teachers at UCSB have students from around the world, especially a lot of Chinese students, and they're in a totally opposite time zone. So
Yeah, I have a student on Friday night. She's in China. And we're always like, hey, happy Saturday, happy weekend. 'Cause she's on like on Saturday morning.
Yeah. So this is going to be like a free 50 minutes or 45 minutes. I've got some, just a brief things about job skills and opportunities and interviews. If we need to put that in. So it's not necessary that everybody talks, but if you want to comment on the program or ask questions about your own future or stuff involved with the school, go ahead and do that for now. And Monica, you can say things too. This is open to you too. I know you never hold back anyway, so.
Well, what did you guys like
Pat-
and dislike
Patrick,
about the program?
I have uh, I have a question about the survey framing. Yeah, it is in the height we have 106 inches by 15 steps that give us the 7 and 116 for each step on the height. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what about going across? It gave us the 10, 15, 16. How do we get the 10, 15, 16?
Oh,
The step that goes across
yeah. So where did you have that problem in this class or?
in this class?
Oh, okay.
It was the seventh class.
Well, the 7 and a 16th you got from dividing 15 into 106, right?
Yeah.
So that was set, if you did a decimal, it was 7 point something and you converted that to 16th somehow. So
Yeah.
if you say it was 7/16, I don't have the paper in front of me.
7 116.
Yeah. So the law says, the building code says that the riser plus the the unit run has to be between 17 and 18 inches. So
Yeah. Yes,
I just
it is.
subtracted 7 and a 16th from 17, which was
Okay.
9 and 15 sixteenths. And then I subtracted 7 and a 16th from 18, and I got
Yeah.
10 and 15 sixteenths.
Okay.
So legally, you have to be somewhere either on those or between those, right?
Yeah, it's rounded.
And yeah, and most people, mostly a bigger step, a bigger unit run is better because people's feet
Uh-huh.
are growing for some reason. We have bigger feet
Unit
now.
run. Yeah, I got it.
So yeah, so if you push it up to the highest one, it would be 10 and 15 sixteenths. Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. That's a great question.
Yeah.
So you want me to talk about stuff?
Well, I was thinking maybe people could say like what they liked, like what topics they liked and what they enjoyed, what they didn't like, if there's anything like what did you guys get the most out of maybe?
Yeah, what they got the most out of, what they learned, because that's good feedback for us.
What's valuable in this program? This is a pilot program, so this is the first time that we're doing the back to work program. So your feedback in any way is helpful, whether it's positive or negative. What was worth your time and not so worth your time.
This class was really helpful. Just refreshes for myself the mind to be in touch with numbers and equations and whatever. But it's really
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, I know. The further you get away from your early schooling, you forget a lot of that stuff. And you can get books, right? You can buy books that will refresh you. There's a lot of learning math books out there, but sometimes it's more interesting to have a teacher you can talk to.
That's right.
I know Gerardo always did the math. He always came up with answers.
Yeah, Gerardo's the class mathematician.
Yeah, he's the class mathematician.
don't-
And that was good because that's how the more you use that stuff and articulate it, the better you get at it. Just keep current with it. I mean, others did the math too. We give him that title because we like him, but Francisco was always, a lot of people contributed, you know, answers.
I think also like not just the specific topics, but just a lot of people are really concentrating on like, you know, working and getting by each month or like day by day. I think it's a good opportunity. I don't know if you guys felt this way, to like stop and pause and work on your education and learning something different or something new. It puts other things into perspective. So it's nice sometimes, maybe, I don't know if you've been working or doing what your other life and you're not working on yourself for like 20 years, maybe it's nice to stop and, you know, educate yourself on something else. It might have been a while since like you've been in school, or maybe, you know, learning something different besides just general education. So you're learning a topic that you haven't done before, those of you who are not really into construction. So I think that's valuable in itself, like growing your mind.
Yeah, you know, you've taken I don't know if some of you may not have ever taken a community college class. Is that probably a good guess? Monica, you think that's probably true?
Yeah, maybe like half, probably.
Yeah. So this is at least tells you a little bit of what those are like and makes it more easy to get back into it. You might say, well, that's easy. I can do that, you know. That's a valuable thing because a lot of people think, oh my God, I can't go back to school.
There's also this program that I just found out about this semester, which is called College for Working Adults that City College offers. So maybe I can share the website with you guys. I didn't even know it existed, but it's City College offers a program for working adults that like want to go back to school or take classes. You can get a degree in like Chicano studies, like in your spare time. And I don't know if anybody's interested in just like going back to school. I think they also offer stipends or money and a lot of resources, and I didn't even know existed. I think it's on the credit campus. It's not on non-credit because I've always worked in the non-credit. So it's called College for Working Adults, and City College offers it.
Yeah,
so
I haven't heard of that either. So I assume those are either online classes or evening classes, right?
Yeah, I think they're online or evening. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, our program's all evening because we cater to working people. So, you know, that's all I've ever done here, but that's good to know that other things can be taken at night. And there is a lot of financial aid. So, you know, even I mean, you may end up you're not eligible, but it's always worth trying because the school really supports students all it can. So it doesn't hurt to try, and probably you'll succeed. It's really.
I'm going to show you guys what it is. So it's called College for Working Adults. And then they have all these, you can get financial aid. You can get, if anybody's interested in getting an AA, like a degree in psychology. You only have to go to school part-time. So you're not required, there's no unit requirements. So you can go to school, you can take one class at a time if you're working or busy. And they give you textbooks and school supplies, like they provide everything you need, tutors, they make a plan, and these are all the degrees you can get. You can get an AA in Chicano studies, psychology. You could get a dual degree with all these in Spanish. So even if you speak Spanish, you can do it. You can do this degree. So I thought this was another really great program for people who maybe want to do City College, but didn't think it was an option for them. So it's called College for Working Adults. Must be new because I never heard of it till this semester.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then there's other career tech. What's the category? Career technical classes like the one you took this time. You know, marine diving. There's a handful of them. Some of them are computer, and a lot of those are night classes, so you can take those. So you just have to explore it. they're not necessarily part of that type of program Monica was just talking about. They're part of departments that are ongoing, but a lot of them have night classes because they're catering toward working people.
Patrick,
Yes, sir.
is one of your books titled "The Last Clash of Civilizations"?
Yes. I
And
love
the
it.
other is Education is a Third Evolution. That
Yeah,
must be a
He
good
found
one.
your story, he found your books.
that's really great. Yeah, and you know, the great thing about, they're all on Amazon because I publish through Amazon. And the great thing about it is you can go to the Amazon website, and if you go to Patrick M. Foster, my middle initial is M, because there's a Patrick Foster for years that's written about race cars. It's not me, but if you go to Patrick M. and in Amazon, you can read parts of the book before you buy it, or if you even don't want to buy it. So mine, you can read, you know, a third of the book, so you can look at it and see if it makes any sense and if it's something you're interested in before you even buy
Right
it.
on.
So that's a great
Where
feature
to
they
buy it?
have. Yeah.
Cool. Right on.
Yeah, if you're philosophically minded, you know, and you think big picture a lot of the time, then they might be useful. Get someone else's a view of things. Not everybody's oriented that way, so. So I'll say a few things and then just interrupt me if an idea comes in that you want to talk about. Just interrupt me and I'll totally drop, just to keep things moving. I was going to talk about where'd I have it? Oh yeah, here. Job interviews. You got tips on that from your other classes, but just a couple things to add, and this may have also been covered. Having a good resume is good, and they've emphasized that. And then another thing is often at the end of interviews, and some of you may know this already, the interviewer, the company will ask you if you have any questions. Anybody ever come across that? And that's kind of a mode that they do. And it's really good if you have some, because it shows that the fit isn't just whether you fit into the company, but also whether the company fits you. And you want to let them know that, hey, you know, I'm a person with my own interests and skills, and this is a two-way deal. So you can ask that question, say, well, you know, I haven't heard you talk about, for example, you could say, I haven't heard you talk about benefits, or I haven't heard you talk about shifting my time things. You know, anything that you're concerned about, it would depend on the type of job. You can ask them, they like that. Then they'll answer them. It shows that you're so interested in the job that you're willing to ask these questions that are really practical for that job. So that helps. So when you go for the job, look at what the job is, look at what kind of things they might talk to you, and then during the interview, keep track of anything they haven't. You know, you can keep notes too. They like that too. Take a notepad. Anything they haven't mentioned that's important to you, write that down. And then when they ask you at the end, you say, yeah, actually, I did have a couple of questions, and go to your list and read them. So I don't know if they've told you that in the interviews, but that helps. In terms of job skills, and this is universal, not just construction jobs, communication is really important. Some of you are really good communicators already, and I don't know about some of you because you didn't talk a lot in the class, which is fine. But it doesn't mean you talk a lot. It just means that you inform other people, whether it's coworkers or your potential employers. You let them know things are important to know between you. Like if you're working with someone, you know, you want to constantly be talking to them and you know, making sure you're doing it right or they're doing it right. And asking questions, you know, on a job, it's scary sometimes in construction. They'll send you to it. They'll say, well, go do this. And you haven't done it before. And you're going, oh my God, you know. So one thing you can do is you can just go do it and make a mess of it. And then they'll come back and say, no, that's not what I wanted you to do. which is fair because, or another thing you can do is, as they say, okay, I understand you want me to do this. Now, what nail should I use? What, do you have any of this tool around? And just ask them questions so you get a little, so it's a little, more accessible what you're going to do. So communication is really a good thing. And don't worry about if you're shy or you don't talk a lot or your English is not good. Don't worry about that. Communicate anyway. People can get through the less good English easy enough. English speakers can understand Spanish enough. Most people speak Spanglish anyway, so we can understand that. And then the other thing is two things: being proactive. You know what that means? Doing something before someone asks you to do it. So you're active before someone does it. So if you're staying around and you're waiting for the end of work and the floor needs sweeping, but nobody's doing it, don't just wait till someone tells you to sweep the floor. Grab a broom and go do it. So look for things that need to be done and do them before you're asked. Employers love that. They go, this person's on the ball, they're looking for things to be done. So that's helpful. It shows that you're active and you want to work. If you're just staying around, it's reasonable to stand around because you don't know what to do, but kind of get over that and just figure out what things you can do. And then your boss say, oh no, it's okay, Joe, or Mary, don't sweep that yet. But at least they'll know you were there. And then the last thing in skills is practice. So if you're plumbing or electrical or any of the trades, you can do stuff at home if you have the tools, or you can come to work early or stay late and work on something. Say, guy, I really have to get the use of that coping saw right. And at work, I just didn't have enough practice. And then stay a little bit and practice on those things. That really, when I was learning carpentry, I used to come in on weekends, and all the time I was trying to perfect what I was learning. And so that's a good thing to do a little practice. And then I talked about being a laborer, being labeled a laborer. Don't worry about that. So you go in, they'll be watching you, be proactive, be communicative, and they'll right away see you as valuable, because those are important things. And I hope that, I'm sure you got a lot of these good soft skills in this program, because the whole afternoon was devoted to that a lot of the time, right? So.
I had worked for a fencing company
Yeah.
that took me on because I didn't know anything, but they took me on just because I had a driver's license. All the other workers had lost theirs in DUIs and whatnot. And sometimes if you just have a driver's license, you're already a foot above everyone else, because
right. If you have a driver's license and your own vehicle, or either or both, say that in an interview. Oh yeah, I also have
strong assets.
Yeah, I also have a valid driver's license, and I have a truck, and I'm willing to, let them know. And if you don't, let them know, yeah, I've got one problem. I can get to work, but I won't be able to pick up stuff. That's communication. Let them know. But he's right. I knew a woman that was a student of mine, and she went to work for a roofing company, Action Roofing, which is the biggest company in town. And she got the job because she could drive. She had a license to drive a truck, one of those big trucks. Nobody else had the license, so they hired her on the spot. And she did roofing. She did all the work everybody did, but that really sealed the deal with them. So yeah.
I learned to drive with a trailer, or like maneuvering a trailer, because like all the demoed out pieces of wood and footing, they had to throw in the bed of this trailer, and I'd never driven with a trailer before, but I figured it out at the dump.
See, that's great. That is great. That's proactive, instead of just passively going, oh, I don't know how to drive this. When I get back, I'm going to tell them I'll quit. Take a few extra minutes at the dump and figure out which way the freaking wheel goes, Yeah.
The guys on the tractors are like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, figuring it out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. And that's a great example because in the dump, you can't really wreck too much. So, you know, on a city street, you can bump into a lot of cars. You don't want to practice there. So, yeah. Yeah, that's good advice.
Someone, I think this came up, we were talking about the class, and I think you guys might have talked about it on Friday with Val's class, but sometimes it's just finding what you want to do and just asking. Like, if you find a company that you like want to work for, they might not be posting jobs or they might not be advertising it, but you could always send an email or call and ask,
Oh,
are
yeah.
you looking for anyone with this experience? So don't wait for the perfect job to come. Just ask and search for it if it's what you're looking for and what you want to do. So I think that it's about like, you know, communicating and then make contacts with people in the fields you want to, whatever you want to do. So
Yeah.
I think you guys might have touched on that in Val's class on Friday, but I think that's a really valuable point. Like I never waited for City College to hire. I just said, I want to work at City College. And I started asking
Yeah.
people for a job. It's like
Yeah.
when I moved here, and it took me maybe like 6 or 8 months to get a job like here when I moved here, but I knew I wanted to work here. So I just kept doing it. I didn't settle for
Yeah.
like another school.
Yeah.
So
They love that. You're right.
just keep
that's good.
asking.
Yeah.
Just keep bothering people.
You know, the same thing happened to me. I wanted to work, the philosophy department had an opening, and I had a degree in philosophy and a background. So I applied, but knowing that there were people from all around the world that wanted that job. I mean, Santa Barbara City College is a pretty plum place. So they didn't hire me, but they had my name. And then the next semester they needed one of their classes, the teacher left on emergency mid-semester, and they called me up and they said, Patrick, can you teach this class? And I said, oh yeah, you know. So just because they had my name, because I had bugged them, they could get a hold of me. So what was I going to say also about, oh yeah, so I'm going to call, so you meet with Val Friday. Will you meet with her this Friday, you think? Yeah. So I'm going to call her and I'm going to put a star by some of the construction companies, and I'll ask her to explain it. And the star will be a recommendation from Rodney or Patrick or Jim. We'll give our last name. So like, for instance, if you applied to Frank Skipper Construction, I know Frank really well. And if you said, you know, the teacher, Dr. Foster, Patrick Foster at City College, you know, said this would be a good place to work, then there's a connection there. You know, if they have a connection, then that puts you a little bit different than everybody else who's applying. So same thing with D.D. Ford. I know Doug Ford. And so I'll star the ones I know and I'll ask Rodney to star the ones we know and that also are decent companies. So mention names. Say, yeah, you know, do you know Patrick Foster? He's run the program at City College for 15 years, or Rodney Yutt. He was one of my teachers there. And those names go a long way because the construction community is pretty tight knit and we all know each other and respect each other. So it's just one more little thing you can mention. So I'm giving you permission to use Rodney and Jim and my name. And so use them.
We have full authorization to name drop.
You got full authorization to name drop and get our last, you got our last names, you know, I mean, in case you just know us by Rodney and Patrick, get our last names off you've got them written somewhere. And yeah, name drop. It may help, you know. I mean, in this world,
it is about who you know. It really is. Who do you know?
Yeah. Construction industry is really, I mean, most trades and, you know, most businesses are like that. They get pretty chummy, you know. Yeah, let me write that down so I don't forget. Call Val. Okay. You know, we sent her the Santa Barbara Contractors Association book that has most of the contractors in town, but you know, you don't know what they are. They're separated into framers and finish and general. So if you really would just want to do framing, then look up the framing ones and inquire there. And if you just want to do finish, you can do that. And then if you just want to do construction in general, go to the general that do both. It's the catalog's kind of separated that way. But we'll star some of them so that you can use our names. You know, I don't know a lot of them, so Rodney knows more, so I'll ask him to do it too.
I have a question.
Yeah, Levy.
For construction, do you need a truck or a car? Or what?
Well, eventually you'll probably need a truck as you get into it. But when you start, people drive everything, you know, whatever they have. And, you know, you don't want to buy a truck right off because you may do construction for 6 months and realize that's not what you want to do. And then you got a truck you got to get rid of. So unless they really say, well, you know, you can't work here unless you have some kind of truck. If you can get a used truck and you can afford it, or you can borrow one, then you could do that. But I wouldn't advise buying one right away until you find out that's really what you want to do. And then you have to save up money for it unless you have resource, you know, someone that has a truck that can give you or buy it for you. So, but, you know, eventually, you know, you have a truck so you can go pick up materials, right? And it's useful, or haul away trash or whatever. Some companies have their own vehicles, you know, Action Roofing, they have their own vehicles. So it just depends. And that's something in an interview you would talk about. They'll say, do you have a truck or even a vehicle? You know, sometimes you can use a vehicle to get there and maybe pick up little things, you know, go to the store and get plumbing parts or something. And they'll ask you and you say, well, no, I don't own one, but I have access to one. Or no, I can get to work, but I don't really have something I can leave work with. And they you know, they can usually accommodate that one way or another. Good question though.
I think one of the benefits of the whole program was helping people get the orientation of the construction trade, how it works, the networking, the qualities kind of needed. Because even if we lack the knowledge, if we're industrious and conscientious, then we can develop the knowledge on the spot.
Right.
But those of us that are trying to pave our own ways as well.
Yeah. You know,
good.
You know, a lot of that is, you know, there's a lot of fear in our lives, right? Because we haven't tried things, and a lot of choices have a lot of consequences that you have to take responsibility for. So, you know, it's nice to get a taste of something so it's not totally alien and, you know, terrifying to you, you know, so in line with what you're saying. So yeah, even if you didn't learn anything except that construction people are regular guys like Rodney and I, if you can call us regular guys. But, you know, they're sympathetic and we understand things, and it's not such a far away occupation or career. I mean, that's in itself is worth a lot, because it's so, you know, it's so hard in life to approach things because it's just a scary world out there. And when you don't know anything, you're vulnerable, really vulnerable. So probably more than anything, like Francisco said, we're kind of trying to make a dent in that vulnerability, so you have a little bit of more confidence to approach these things. And from what I've seen on most of you, you're all really smart, good people. I mean, this is a great bunch. And so I think he's totally right. That is in your favor. So all you got to do is get in there, and then people appreciate who you are, you know?
Yep. And even if they don't, that might not be the right place for you.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, like I said, if there's a real scarcity of jobs and you've got to feed a family of 6 and you're at your nerves in, take a job that's not going to hurt you too much. Don't take a job that's going to hurt you a lot, period. But if it's just gonna just piss you off here and there and you can deal with it, you know, do it. But if you don't have a lot of people to support and there's a lot of jobs available, like right now, there's more jobs because of coming out of the pandemic, then you can afford to be selective and don't work for people who don't treat you right. Sometimes it takes you a while to figure that out, you know. But yeah, you know, it's like Amazon. They make good money, all those people, but they can't go to the bathroom but every 3 hours. Who could wait 3 hours to go to the freaking bathroom, right?
That's
So
not good for your bladder.
it's not good for your body. That's just bullshit, you know? And so
Is that true? Really?
yeah, well, that's what I've heard. They have really, you know, your breaks have to
Limited
be
breaks.
3 minutes and, you know, they're every 3 hours. I mean, yeah, I've heard that.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
so it's good money, and they're trying to unionize to not have that stuff, but they're having trouble with that too, because Amazon is pretty powerful. They control that. So yeah, that's too bad. But yeah, I mean, you guys are such great people. I would hate to see you have to buckle under some jerk for an employer, but sometimes you got to do it temporarily to get through. But always remember that I'm just doing this expediently to get through because I need to support my family or my health costs or whatever. I'm only doing it expediently, and as soon as I can find a get out of this thing, I will. You know, if you think that way, then you don't feel so much a victim. You go, yeah, this is a bullshit job, but I need it for now. I know what I'm doing. I can handle this. In 2 months, I'm out of here. You know, when you have that kind of attitude, then you're not so much a victim, and it won't feel so bad. It'll still hurt to be mistreated, but you know, realize you're more than that situation always. So
That also like brings me up to the point that like when you're a question for those of you who have worked in construction, have you like, do you ever feel like mistreated by the clients or by like, you know, when you're doing construction, I'm sure you have to deal with a lot of different people and personality types.
Oh yeah,
and,
clients mistreat you all the time. They're awful. The richer, the worse.
right.
Because they think
I'm
they
sure-
can
I'm
pay
sure
their
in
way
I don't
Santa
want to
Barbara.
generalize or paint a bad picture, but the richer, the worse. There are great wealthy people. You know, the guy who runs Patagonia. I've known some people that have worked for him, and he's a pretty good guy. So there obviously there are exceptions, but I worked in Beverly Hills and the you know the canyons there when I was younger, your age, some of your age, and oh my God, the clients were just so nasty, and I wasn't even the contractor for a lot of those. It was before I was even a contractor, and they would take it out on the carpenters too. You know, hey, don't do that to me. Just go talk to my boss. You know, I'm just working here. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's
I think
that's
like just mistreating, especially like the lower down you get, like, okay, like maybe the contractors or whatever, the project managers, but then you get the workers and the laborers on site. And I've seen clients like go off on, you know, just guys who are there working on the job site. And it's like, just walk away, you know, like you shouldn't be treated like that by anybody, not your boss, not your clients. Just walk away and they'll have to deal with someone else, you know? So
yeah. So in those situations, the best thing would be not to walk away the first time, but go to your boss and say, look, I don't want to take this crap. What do I do? And he'll say, well, just walk, don't confront him. Just walk away like you've got to go to the bathroom or you got to leave the job site and just don't come back and talk to me and then I'll work on it. So probably it's helpful to work through your boss unless it's really bad and then just leave because, you know, there's a limit, right? So if it's mildly bad, talk to your boss about how you can deal with it and say, I'm not going to deal with this. Tell me what I should do. And if it's super bad, just get the hell out of there. Because if it's physically potentially harmful or psychologically harmful, I mean, you don't need to take.
Yeah, I think like emotionally, like I feel like I've never even worked in the industry, but I've seen clients yelling at workers like on job sites, and I'm like, how is that productive? Because they get angry or get upset about the way things pan out. Yeah. So I think it's probably one of those jobs that like a lot of the employees are emotionally mistreated, you know, like and people don't really do anything about it. So I maybe don't put up with it if you can,
Yeah.
say
I think
something,
that
tell your
leaving is the
boss.
best option because it creates an imprint of, okay, there's an empty space. Other people are having to make up for it, and things have slowed down
Yeah.
as a result
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the
That's a
client's
good point.
behavior. And it's just like, I can't be letting you do that to my crew.
Yeah. So, it
Yeah.
all has to do with what you can afford to lose. And I keep saying there are situations where you're so against the wall at that point in your life that you have to take a little bit more anxiety, put up a little bit more stress just to survive and get through. But other than those situations, you don't need to take crap from people. And you can do it if it's really bad, just walk away or just say, I'm not going to listen to this. This is not good for any of us. Or go through your boss and say, give me some alternatives, because if this happens again, I'm quitting. And he'll say, don't do anything, walk away and I'll talk to him. Come talk to me. So, yeah. So anyway, I've got to leave. Oh no, I've got some more time, a few more minutes.
I'm really glad that we've talked about healthy boundaries, because for the most part, we've been talked at about how to be professional and how to represent the company well so that they can keep or maintain the client or
right
or get more, and it's all
right
for the sake of money.
right
And it's just like, okay, well, if you're not in that position, then it's not good, it's not healthy. Yeah, some of us find ourselves in that position and we either got to put up with it or leave.
Yeah.
But employees need way more protections from employers.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, unions in my life, unions have their problems too. They get very political, and they abuse in a certain way their people, but still, for the most part, they're sticking up for workers and they're good. It's better to have unions and make sure they work good. And Biden's really a union person, and so he's supporting that and bringing that back in as a major focus. So that's good. In a democracy like this and a capitalist society, you've got to protect, like you say, you've got to protect employees somehow. The government does a little bit, not enough. If I had my way, design a world, I'd have everybody own their own businesses so that they don't have to answer to anybody. The group of people can work it out together as co-bosses. That would be the best. And we could move toward that. And there are places that do that in small areas. The Mondragon movement in Spain does that. They have hundreds of thousands of people that own their own businesses. So, in some ways we're headed that way. But until then, we've got to put up with abusive people, and, it's something to be aware of for sure. So I'm going to go. Monica, are you going to stay, or do you want to just call the class now?
No, let's go. Everybody's ready, I think.
So you're not done. You still have Senor Ut tomorrow, Rodney Ut, and you've got whatever you do in the afternoons for a couple of days, and then next week if you're coming back for some help. And take Monica's advice if there's anything about employment or anything you want to get a little counseling. You've got this free access to these people, and so yeah. So I wish all of you luck, and hopefully I'd love to see some of you in the construction program. If you're interested in that, it's good. It would be good for you to do that. If you're an electrician or plumber, we don't have that program. So I know some of you are interested in that. So you'll have to find your way to those. But I enjoyed everybody, and I would love to see some of you to go further. So good luck, and I'll talk to you later, Monica. But I just want to really thank you for your help. You've saved me so much. You saved my ass a million times, and I love it. Everybody should have someone like you around. Rodney and I
Thank
both.
you.
Yeah.
I think that you've
Uh,
done a great job of teaching. I think everybody can agree, like all the students, that you've done a great, very patient with everybody and been a great teacher. I think everyone's really learned a lot, right, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. You know, it wasn't a fair shake for any of us as students or teachers with this kind of setup. It's difficult. So I appreciate your appreciation, and I appreciate what you did too in the class. It's not an easy thing to do, but we did it. And so yeah, so I really thank everybody for participating, and Monica, can't thank her enough. So Monica, if you ever need a recommendation or anything from me, I doubt that you will, because you're pretty independent and you know, self-motivated. But if ever, even in the college, you can, you know.
Yeah. When I get my construction job, my builder job, I'll call you for professional reference.
Or maybe you'll be remodeling your house and you need some advice, you know, who knows? Yeah.
Yeah.
I give
Yeah, it
advice.
was really good.
I give advice to friends. Okay, everybody. So this is the end of this segment of the class, but hopefully it won't be the end of our relationship. Some of you will stay connected. And I'm open. I'm a teacher, so you have my phone number. So I'll always be there to help. You know, you need people in your lives to help. And I'm sure you have others, but I'm available. Okay, so I'll press the end button.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Thanks, everybody.
Yes.
Good class.
Okay.
Great job.
Okay.
See you
Thank you.
tomorrow, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Patrick.
Well,
Okay.
Okay, bye.
All right,
Bye.
everybody.